So we're getting started now. I just want to stick a bit of sausage in Aero's mouth because she's gone into funny mode again. And we're going to go live on the Facebook as well. So we've got people from all directions. So welcome, good afternoon. Thank you, Aero. So we're going to do some wag and tone. Well, hopefully this afternoon. Aero's woken up, so she's full of beans. Now, I'm actually doing this live via Zoom at the moment on this camera over here. Might have to shut the blind, actually. I'm getting a lot of light behind me. Yes, I am. So this is live for our Canine Fitness Convention online. So people that have already registered for this, you'll have the link for this already. So that's why we've got people here, and you also will get the replay for this sent through. But just for people that haven't been able to sign up as yet, or for any reason, if you can't use Zoom or don't like using Zoom when it's live, I'm going live in our Dog Training for Essex and Suffolk Facebook group at the same time, which is on this camera. So majority of the time I will be facing this one because this is where the main Zoom link is for people that have registered, but I will be flitting between the two. So hopefully you'll be able to see on both cameras as much as possible. Now, at any point, whether you're here on Zoom or if you're here on Facebook, if you have any questions at all, you can pop them in the comments and they will pop up. So intermittently, I'll come over and just have a little check to see if we have any comments that have come up. Hello, Aero. It will be chaotic. I've just finished doing one Zoom for the Canine Fitness Convention, which was with the Slim Pet Vet, Caroline Taylor. And we literally, we started at a different time to when I first booked this. So we literally finished and I had about 15 minutes to then quickly clear the space and get ready and set up phones. So the dogs are kind of all over the place, looking forward to doing something. So yeah, so that's really, really cool. I'm just going to quickly shut the blinds because all we can see here is a bright light on the screen, which isn't overly helpful. Let's see if that makes any difference. Should do, shouldn't it, Aero? Yeah, that's better. So if you haven't worked with me, seen me, or done any other lives so far, I am Jo Nutkins and I run Dog Training for Essex and Suffolk, but for the purposes of the Canine Fitness Convention, we're talking about the fitness side of things. So I am a certified professional canine fitness trainer, and I've done that since 2015. Take a treat and leave them alone. Yeah, so I know we're raring to go. 2015, and so that incorporates the fitness side of things, which is looking at strengthening, conditioning, dogs being able to do things for longer. Aero, mind your hips. Aero, stop running around. We're not playing. Aero wants to play. Hang on. Hang on, Aero wants to play. Come on, Aero. There you go, Merlin. So yes, so looking at that. But today we are looking specifically at something called wag and tone. Yesterday, my live last night, I talked more about the conditioning side of things generally. Today it's wag and tone is on the same lines, but with a specific purpose, which is fitness for your dogs as well as for ourselves. So you get to do the fitness as well as your dogs. Now, what I don't mean is that we're going to ask your dogs to do a play bow and then you need to do a play bow next to them. What I mean is the exercises are tailored in a way that if your dog is doing a specific exercise, we can actually help them do that while we are working on something either similarly or slightly different at the same time. So it's not just about us holding the treat and guiding our dogs. It's actually about us doing a little bit of the work as well. So it means it's really, really great if you like doing things with your dogs and you're interested in your dog being nice and fit. What, Aero? Yeah, you're going to do stuff in a minute. If you like your dogs to be nice and fit. If you're interested in fitness yourself, then this is obviously great because it means you can take part with your dog. Or if you're someone like me and has health issues, I do actually have several health issues, namely being my ME, my fibromyalgia, and a few other bits and pieces that happen in the background. It means that I get tired very easily. I suffer with pain a huge amount of the time. Find it. Good girl. And all of that means that I kind of tailor my day around my work, my dogs, and the chickens and ducks that we have. And then there's not really anything left at the end. So I don't really have a lot of time to spend on my own self-care. So doing something like wag and tone means that the time I spend on my dog's fitness, actually I'm working on my own at the same time. So it's actually really nice on that side of things. And the exercises that we do can be tailored for each person and for each dog as well. So it might be that you've got a high energy dog, like this one here, Merlin, she's fine. But actually you're not a high energy person, or vice versa. It could be you've got a senior dog that you want to do some bits with, but actually you're quite active yourself. We can tailor every section to work with you and your dog best. So it has been going for a while now, Wag and Tone. It was devised by 3 women, 3 people that are dog trainer and human fitness people. Human fitness people, I think that's just what they're called. Cool, quite a few years ago now, probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe. And there is actually information out there on Wag and Tone. If you look on YouTube, you will find lots of Wag and Tone bits and pieces out there by different people. Karen Laker is the lady you want to look for primarily. She's the person that first developed it. And so I've been teaching it for about 5 or 6 years, and I've taught it in classes, I've taught it online, taught it at different dog shows and things as well. And it's fun. It's really, really fun. There is the serious element because we want the dog's form to be correct. We don't want them to be warming up wrong and hurting ligaments and muscles, etc. We want to be supporting the whole body, but at the same time, we want to have fun with our dogs as well. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at today. So you can, getting all sorts of things coming up everywhere here. We are going to do a little bit of a demo for you. So you have the option of watching and then looking back later and trying with your dogs. You can take part at the moment if you want to. You can just do the bit with your dogs and not worry about your own, or vice versa. Or you can just watch and see how chaotic it actually gets with me and 3 dogs, which is probably going to be quite chaotic, I should imagine. So I realise that this time of the day might not be great for a lot of people. I've got classes tonight, so it had to be during the day, and I've got consults tomorrow night, so I didn't really have many evenings to choose from. So you've got the replay, and if you're watching on the replay and you have any questions, pop them in the comments, because I will at some point get some sort of notification and I'll be able to answer those for you. Yes, I will. So first thing we need to do whenever we do any sort of activity or exercise or sports is to warm the dogs up. So when we're warming the dogs up, I just need to admit, there you go. Hang on. There you go. When we are warming the dogs up, I get so many things coming up. How do I click on that without hitting finish? The comment box is underneath the finish box, which is really handy. Yes, we always need to warm up. So you always have a warm up of a few exercises. You have the main exercises, which is where we work on the strengthening and the cardio side of things and getting us all moving. And then we have the cool down at the end. And you don't need to do like a really, really long workout. When we think of workouts, we often are, we're often thinking of, you know, like an hour-long session, and that just isn't what we need to be doing. I'm going to be knackered by the time we start this right here. It can literally be a very short amount of time, and actually do have online fitness sessions for dogs that are literally 10-minute long sessions, where you do a couple of warm-ups, a couple of main exercises, and a couple of cool-downs, but really, really effective work. Yes, it is. So we're going to start with a warm-up even. So for a warm-up, we want to be nice and steady, nice and careful. Make sure your ground, your flooring is non-slip. Put mats down if it is a bit slippery. Yeah, there you go, poor girl. I need to let go in a second to do stuff. And try and kind of control how fast your dog goes. So it might be, as often happens in conditioning work, some of the exercises look similar to tricks and other exercises and activities. So it might be that your dog can do some of this already on cue without needing any help, but they whiz round. So during a warm-up, we want them to obviously be quite slow and steady and warm up gradually. So sometimes we have to bring in the hand cues, even if our dogs know what the exercise is, okay? Right, you have to have that on your own for a second. So the first things that we're going to be doing, Ripley's got something on a beard. The first things that we're going to be doing, and just to say welcome to people that are, I'm seeing all sorts of things popping up on the screens. Welcome if you're just joining us. We're going to be doing wag and tone. We've talked about it. Now we're going to go into the small demonstration for you with Merlin, Ripley and Aero's duck to show you what a wag and tone is. The reason why the view is weird on this phone, which is Facebook, is because I'm primarily recording via Zoom for the Canine Fitness Convention, but I wanted to do it live for people on Facebook as well. So, and I've only got one tripod, so I'm kind of flitting between the two. So, what we're going to do then for our warm-up, first thing that we can do, which is really, really nice and easy, is just literally a little bit of walking with our dogs, okay? So we can start with our dogs next to us. We can lure them. We can just walk generally. Can you get out of the way, good boy? We're just going to go a few steps forwards, and then we're going to guide our dogs in a half circle, and then we're going to turn the other way as well, okay? So then we do this, and then we go in a half circle again, good boy, and then we go back this way, okay? So each time we go forwards and back, I'm on this side of the screen, and my dog is on that side of the screen, because we're just changing and doing a half turn each time. So Ripley, rip to the chip. There's a good girl. Let's turn you. There's a good girlie. I don't know. Go round Merlin. There you go. And it's the same thing if you've got a big dog. Aero, you going to join us this time? Come on then. Aero. Merlin, get up. Come on, Aero. Hop, 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 hop. Come on. You were full of energy 2 seconds ago. There's a good girl. Right, over here. Get away, Mel, please. Good boy. And then we're going to go twist. What a good girl. There's a good girlie. And spin. So notice how slow I'm going with them. Don't need to be rushing. Nice and steady, nice and slow. Good girl. And a nice little bit of a warm-up there. So you can do that a few times. You can do that out in the garden. If you're getting the dogs outside for a toilet before you start. If you haven't got a lot of room to work in, you know, just a little bit of space. Yeah, I know. Just going up and down, handful of times, just starts a little bit of a warm-up going. We're then going to move on and have a look at, there's 2 different exercises we're going to do for this. We're going to ask our dogs to do a bit of a figure of 8. So you need 2 items that your dog can go round, and obviously items can be anything at all. I've got 2 cones, but it could literally be a couple of bottles, it could be a backpack and Wellington boot, you know, something that's easy for your dog to go around, really. So just move that duck out the way. So the dogs, if I do the dog part first, I really don't know what people can see now because this screen is so dark. I know we've got cones there, and we've got cones there. There you go. Aero, don't take the cone. Aero, you can go that way, done then. So we want the dogs to go around one, brilliant Merlin, and then around the other one in a figure of 8. Now, these guys know how to do a figure of 8. So if I move Aero's head out the way, good girl, Merlin, go round and go circle. Brilliant, circle the cone, not Ripley, good boy. You see he speeds up and he's going. If he'd just woken up and I was asking him to do this, I don't want him going that quickly. I want him to go much, much slower so he can warm that body up slowly, okay? So I'm going to show you with Ripley. Merlin, my dear. Rippers. So you can guide. Guiding round, Ripley, yay! And they go as fast as the hand with the treat, or with a toy, okay? He's a good girl, aren't you? If they haven't done this before, just take a moment to lure around, oh, good boy, in one direction, and then lure around in the other direction. And you can give a little bit of treat, or like I say, you can use a toy to guide them and then have a little game at the end. And then once your dog is happy with going around the cone, or whatever it is you're using, we then add in our part, okay? Now for this, Aero, I'm going to move where the cones are slightly so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Don't know if that's enough room, but I don't think that cone will be seen otherwise. And so all I'm going to do is something called a grapevine, which anyone that does fitness work is likely to know what a grapevine is. A grapevine, I don't know, is where we take a step to the side, cross over the leg, and then a step to the side and back to normal. Step, cross back, step, side. That's a grapevine, okay? Will you leave the cones. And so the way we can then do this is we can ask our dog to go around one side. Don't look at the... Right, Merlin, wake up, go round. Good, hold on. Grapevine, go circle. Good boy. Grapevine, go round. Grapevine, go circle. Look at what you're doing. Good boy. Good. Ripley, go circle. Circle round. Go around there. Right round. Go round. Never do this with just too many dogs. It's just chaos. Let them move. Good girl. So your part is the grapevine part. Okay. And your dog's part is going around in a figure of 8. So we are warming up all kinds of areas, from moving down from the waist and the hips and the pelvis right down through the legs. And also, as we're helping our dogs round, you'll feel a bit of a stretch going through the back, through the sides, through the arms, through the shoulders as well. And for our dogs, they're of course warming up a lot of the body because they're doing a nice natural stretch, as well as the actual action of moving about to warm up the body that way. So you can do that again a few times, unless your dog starts eating the cone. There you go. Done. You're so bad, aren't you? So you get a few of those. So then what we can do is start moving on to a phase where we go from warm up to main exercises. So it's still quite gentle, but the dogs have warmed up a little bit in advance now. So what we can actually do is ask our dogs to do a walk back while we follow, and then we walk back and they do a recall. Okay, all right. Good girl, good girl. You leave that alone. Ripley, it's behind you. Merlin. So with Merlin, come here, walk back, and then come. Good boy. And walk back carefully this time. Good boy. Yeah. So we're both getting a chance to do the walking back, which of course uses the muscles differently to when we go forwards. But it's nice and gentle, nice and slow. And it might be that your dog can walk back further than you can. So you might end up going more one direction, a little bit backwards, more in this direction, a little bit backwards. Absolutely fine, you know, or just reset yourself if need be, if you run out of room. Now we want the dogs to go backwards carefully. So I don't know if you noticed, Merlin's first walk back there was a little bit excitable, a little bit bouncy, and not really what I want him to be doing. Walk back, that's better. Good boy. Good. Walk back, yes. If he continued to do that, then I'd put the body language back in. So it might be that the dog knows how to walk back, but they do it really, really quickly, or they go around at a funny angle, or they bounce, in which case we might just need to go back to basics a little bit. So what I mean by that, Rip Chip, is treat under the chin, good girl, and just literally watch the bum so you get 1 or 2 steps, and then we can step forward, and then we do the recall. Come, there's a good girl. And then, oh, I haven't asked for it yet, but good girl, that was nice. Good girlie. Always reward the good stuff, don't we? Go ahead and find it. Treat under the chin, walking back, good girl. And I walk to her, and then we do a little recall. Ripley, Ripley, come. Yes, a good girlie. So all we're doing is bringing the treat between your hands, dog is standing up, treat goes under the chin here, so your dog kind of looks to see where the treat's gone, and that helps the back legs start to move. Now, if they haven't done a walk back before, or they haven't done it much, or your dog normally bounces their way along, so you're going back to a nice foundation, you only want 1 or 2 steps. You're not expecting your dog to suddenly go 20 steps in a row. You just want 1 or 2, praise them, because they are using the muscles differently, and we want them to build up very, very slowly and carefully, okay? Doing this a few times is actually going to be working them quite hard anyway, and so what we don't want to do is cause muscle fatigue, where we ask our dogs to do more and more and more of the same thing, and then they start getting tired. So they might start sitting down rather than walking back. They might start offering you something else like a paw or laying down, or they might just walk away completely. So keep it really small, and then gradually we can build them up. So I will see if I can do this with Aero. She's currently eating the crocodile, so who knows? Aero, do you want to do this? Come on then, Aero, let's go. Yay, Aero. What a clever Aero. Right, mind down. That's always in the way. Ripley, Aero. Good, come on. Yay. So we're going to walk back a couple of steps because she's still nice and young, and then a recall, and then stand, and then a walk back, good, and then a recall, yeah, there's a clever girl. So Aero is 7 months old, just mentioning because I mentioned she was a puppy. So I don't need her to go very far. It's still something that she's working on, and also she hasn't been doing it as long as the other two. Ripley's nearly 4, Merlin is 10. They've done more walking back in their lifetime. Aero's still quite new to it, so although she can go further for the purposes of an exercise, I don't need her to go very far. A couple of steps and then change it. Okay, so we can do a few of those, and then we can start looking at building up the exercise a little bit. So this is where we use something, a piece of equipment, but nothing specific. So if you have an aerobic step or a bath step, they work really well, particularly a bath step because they're normally non-slip. But you can use a reinforced shoe box or a storage box. It depends on your abilities, your dog's abilities, your dog's size. I'm going to use something quite small actually, which is an obedience training platform that I use with the dogs. So all I'm going to do is pop it down like this so you can see hopefully from every angle. I think you can. Well done, I haven't asked for it yet, have I? You want your dog to go the opposite side to where you are. Go that way, good boy. And we're going to ask for a paws up, which we're already getting from these two, of course. So they do a paws up and we stood on the ground. Then what we're going to do is ask our dogs to sit and we do a step. Sit. Good boy. There you go. We step off, they do a paws up. Good. That's nice. And then we do the same thing. So we ask them to do a sit. Ripley, good, sit. Never heard that before, she says. And we do a step on and off, and then we get another paws up. So your dogs are going from stand with the front paws up to sitting. Some dogs will bring the front feet off, some dogs will leave them on. Either way is completely fine. We do a step up and a step down. Now, if it is that your dog is new to this, but you actually like doing fitness work, there's no reason why you can't ask them to sit and you do a couple of steps on and off, and then ask your dog to do the stand, sit, and then you do 2 or 3 steps yourself. So you can mix and match to make it work for you. Aero, can you stop chewing that? So I'll show you this with Aero. That's much more preferred than her eating the platform as she currently is. Right, you guys? Come out of the way a bit. Aero, you going to try this? Oh, ready? Go get it. Ripley, get it. Aero, come on, let's go. So Aero paws up. Good girl. Good. Aero sit. I do a step. I come off. Aero paws up. Little. Come up. Yes. So she went into a down, so I've just lured her into a stand. Good girl. And Aero sit. I do a step. Good. What a clever girl. Aero stands. Paws up. There's a good girl. Sit. Sit. Good. And I'm not going to do many because Aero is a puppy and I don't want to overwork the joints. There's a very good girl. Very clever. So we only do a few of those, even though she's doing it really nicely and it's flowing well. And what you've got on your beard, Ripley, I don't need to be going overboard with it. It's just a little taster for her. Can you stop eating that, please? Thank you. And we'll build that up as she gets older. So that's one exercise that we can be doing. So we've now moved right into main exercises now. With equipment that we use for wag and tone, you don't need to have anything fancy or anything specific. A lot of the time it's whatever you have access to around the house that will be safe for you and your dog to use. So ideally something that's not going to slip on the top for your dog, something that's not going to slide across the floor, obviously nothing that's got sharp edges, things like that. So just making sure that it's okay to use and it's not going to collapse if they put their front paws on it and things like that, really. So what we can then look at is working on a nose touch. So a nose touch is literally where our dogs touch our hand with their nose. Touch, yes, good boy. Either with an open hand or with the hand closed around a treat. Touch, yes, there's a clever girl. Aero, touch, properly, yes, good girl. And by doing a nose touch, 2 things happen. One is that our dogs do either a stretch forward or to the side, but we also are doing a little bit of a nice stretch at the same time. So we're all moving slightly different ways, but we're all doing a nice movement together. So what we're going to actually ask our dogs to do, get another bit of treat. Break your treats tiny for this. I don't need to have huge, huge pieces of treat, do you? is we're going to ask our dogs to be in front of us. And we're going to do a little bit of a side step and then ask our dogs to do a touch. Okay, so what I mean by this, I'll do this from a couple of angles, is I'm going to go this direction and touch. Good boy. Side step and touch. Yes. Side step and touch. Good boy. Side step and touch. Yes. So each time I'm bending, I'm actually working core, holding the core in place, keeping my back nice and straight. So I'm actually bending pretty much, you know, in a straight line here, but stretching out my arm. What I could also do is stretch my arm out in the opposite way. So I'm actually reaching across the body. I could do that as well, especially if I was working with a taller dog. Now for Merlin, he is moving along, doing a little stretch of the touch and turning. There's a good boy. Yes, there's a good boy. So he's doing a bit of movement as well as that nose touch as well. If you was to do the action of a nose touch, you can feel it down your cervical and thoracic spine and through your shoulders as well. So it actually is working not only that part of the body, but when they do this, they do a natural weight shift. The weight goes forwards, then it naturally goes back again. So they're then engaging the muscles across the whole body pretty much, which is obviously really cool. So let's get rid of you for a second. Rip a chip a chop. You do touch. Good girl. And touch. So another way of doing it. Over there. Good boy. Here's Ripley. Touch. Yes. And then move the boat here. Touch. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. I can't tell what people can see and what they can't. But Ripley, touch. So going across the body this time. Touch. Good girl. Touch. Yeah. Touch. Good girl. So ordinarily I'd go a bit wider, but when we do lives, especially when we've got Facebook involved, you have to have them on a portrait view, which means you can only see so much. But ordinarily I'd be over one side of the screen here, and I'd probably end up over here somewhere, but then you're not going to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. Arrow, did you want to try this? Her face, not really, I'm just sniffing Dad's slipper, thanks. Horrid, isn't she? Isn't she horrid? You go, Rip Chip. You go get that. Arrow, Arrow, let's go. Yeah. Arrow, boo, touch. Good girl. Arrow, touch. Touch. Good girl. And touch. Yay. That's a clever girly. There's a clever girly. Nice. Do you see? Tail wagging. They all want to be involved. It's just something that we can enjoy and they can enjoy. And it's not formal. There's no formal way of doing things. So how Arrow did it then was different to how Merlin and how Ripley did it, how they move, how they turn, etc. Because there's no one big right or wrong. Okay, as long as the mechanics are there, that we're not getting the dogs to jump up, for example, to get the treat. We're not asking them to slide across the floor to get the touch at the end. We're not doing something bizarre, you know, that's going to strain us. There's not really a one specific right or wrong, which means you can make it work for your dog and for yourselves. Okay, so we've got a few exercises there. We're going to have a look at starting to cool down now, because with the demo, with doing it and with the talking in between, it ends up taking obviously a lot longer than just a normal session would take. I can just see text at the bottom of the screen here, bear with me. Okay, hang on. Coming in, there you go. Sorry, sweet pea. So then we can start looking at cooling the dogs down. And when we cool the dogs down and ourselves, we can add in stretches a little bit more now. Okay, so when we add in a stretch, we don't want to be overstretching our dogs or ourselves or holding it for too long. The action of the stretch itself is enough to do some good work. Can't have you chewing that, I'm afraid. That is. So what we're going to be doing is we can do this sitting down, but all of my, normally I use a yoga ball, but all yoga balls are at my training because they're ready for tribal next weekend. And I haven't got a stool or anything here. So I'm going to do this on the ground, but you can do this from sitting upright in a chair or sitting yourself on a yoga ball and working on your core at the same time. Now, all we're going to do, get myself on the floor. Ripley, can you go around the back of Merlin, please? So no one can see. And Merlin can go in a sit or in a stand, not a down though, ideally. I am going to move him backwards slightly. Good boy, wait. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to be in a nice, if you imagine if I was sitting, it would be a very similar upright position, but I'm actually going to reach out and ask for a paw. Paw, yes, good boy. And we can hold that for a couple of seconds. Just eat the grooming table leg. And Merlin, paw. Yes, good boy. So what he's doing is where he's lifting that leg up, I don't want him stretching. It's more of a kind of a right angle happening here. Where he's doing that, he is working obviously the leg that's being lifted, but he's also then shifting the weight onto the leg that's not lifted. So he's actually working two sides of the body at the same time. Oh, good boy. And each time I do that, I'm putting in a bit of movement myself. So I'm doing a little stretch on the torso, stretch along the back, stretch along the shoulder. Oh, good boy. Lovely. That's a good fella. Ripley, you're going to do one. And Ripley, paw. There's a good girl. That's nice. What a good girl. And paw. Nice. You're such a clever girl. Whole time I'm working on my core at the moment. Paw. There's my clever girl. And paw. Yes, that's nice. Arrow, you're going to do this. So there is another way of doing it, depending on what your dog knows. So you can do this standing or sitting again. Arrow, go. Good girl. You can have your dog here. And if they know how to give paw to your leg, you can do that as well. Okay. Arrow, paw. Yes. Good girl. And then the paw can go. And paw. This paw. Yes. Good girl. Two paws. Good girl. Good. Arrow, paw. Oh dear. We've collapsed. We've collapsed. Up, up. Can you come up again? No, you're going to do it from there. Okay. Have this. No. Have this paw. Good girl. We've been doing sleepy head today, haven't we? Paw. This paw. No. Other one. Arrow. This paw. You're such an amazing dog sometimes. So I'll show you with the terriers because they do know what I'm talking about here. So Merlin, come around here. There. Good boy. You're going to sit. Good. And we're going to do a paw. So I'm doing a toe tap at the moment. I don't know if you can see that on the Facebook side. And then paw. Good boy. And Merlin again is doing exactly the same. Static paw. Paw. And I'm just doing a little bit of a stretch on the leg that I'm doing the toe tap with. Good boy. You better get that for me. Breakfast chips. And paw. It's a good girl. Paw. Very good. Paw. Properly. But no, this paw. That's a good girl. And paw. Yes, good girly. Very nice. So that's another way of doing it, or an addition. So you could do the ones with the hands, and then you can do the legs as well, because then you're obviously working two parts of the body. So again, they don't need to hold the paw there for ages. We don't need to ask for 50 of them. It's just a small amount of movement that actually engages the muscle. You're working on flexion and extension here, flexion, extension. You're working on engaging without there being lots and lots of impact. It's really, really nice and gentle. And then what we can do to finish up is, again, just a little bit of movement. So we did walking at the start. So we're going to finish with a figure of 8 with our legs. Now, I appreciate that not everyone has got a dog that's small like I have, but I will show you this with all 3 dogs because it is achievable. I am 5 foot exactly in height, and Aero, as you can see, is trying to be a horse in disguise of some sort. So she's quite tall, but I will show you with all 3 dogs. So all we do is we stand feet apart. You don't have to stand with them as wide as possible. They just need to be wide enough that you can do a little bit of a knee bend. So we're doing the slightest of lunges, okay? And what we're going to do is guide our dog through the middle and around the back. And when you go around the back of the leg, you bend the leg they are behind. Into the front, through the middle, around the back, bend that leg, okay? So then we have a little lunge. Try and be upright, work on your core, and your dog is doing this. Now, Merlin's going into speedy mode because I'm talking rather than guiding him. Good boy, Merlin. But ideally, we do want them to be slower because it is a cool down, not a warm up, not a race. Good girl. And again, good girl. Yes, good. Good weave. Weave, weave, weave. Yay. What a clever girl you are. That's so good. And as promised, I will show you with the Aero monster. Come on, Aero. Yeah. Right, Merlin, go over there. Ripley, go over there. Aero. Okay, so we're going to go there, through here, let your dog come all the way out, and then through here. So swapping the treat each time. What a good girl you are. Good girl, Aero. Go through. Good girl. And through. Yes, good girl. Yeah. So if you maneuver the head using the food, the body will follow. So even if you're not a really tall person, if you have a tall dog like I have, you can still maneuver the head so that you're not getting hit as your dog is going through the weave. So you can then, of course, at the end of that, which I tend to do, is take your dogs back outside, see if they want to go to the toilet, because obviously everything's been stimulated where they've done actions, they've had fun, they've had praise, they've had treats, maybe a little game as well. So they might need the toilet, even if they've only just been sort of 10, 20 minutes beforehand. So then you've got the action of going outside and into the garden a little bit. Obviously helps just for that last little part of the cool down. So that's a real small demo for you of Wag and Tone. There are so many exercises. I've taught this on so many different workshops, and there's always new exercises that I'm bringing in. Equipment wise, like I say, you can use whatever you have really. I've always got examples of what you can be using to help your dogs do the exercises. This is something that I teach online as well as in person. So if you want to know more about Wag and Tone, just pop me a message through and I can obviously let you know. We do them at shows as well. So we do these demos at different shows. So places like All About Dogs, for example, often like us to do Wag and Tone demos. So you can see us doing those. And of course, you can replay this later on and do a little bit with your dogs. Do you mind? As well, if you've got any questions at all, let me know, whether it's about the exercises we've covered and how to do them. If you'd like to record your dog doing them and send them over so I can talk about, you know, form or progression, then please do so. That would be absolutely great. But this is just a really nice way. Have fun with your dogs while you're doing something beneficial. So they're learning things, they're having fun, but actually you're working the body at the same time, your dog and yourself. So I hope this has been of interest. I hope you've enjoyed it, and hopefully I will get to see some people that are here at the moment at the weekends, because we've got our canine fitness session on Saturday afternoon, which is actually fully booked, but we've got a real nice range of dogs. We've got puppies, teenagers and adult dogs booked in. We've got dogs of varying sizes and breed types. We've got dogs that are just really active and we're just going to work on stillness and calm them down a bit. And then we've got dogs that have actively got health issues or have had surgery and things like that we're working on, seeing if we can strengthen them gently and just build them up just a very small amount. So there's going to be a lot of tailoring the exercises for the dogs, but it's so nice to be able to see the dogs progressing. Even if it's just a small amount, it's still a progression. So we've got that at the weekend. So I know there's some people here that I'll be seeing for that, and then we'll carry on next month with our regular canine fitness workshops. So thank you so much for watching today. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, and then also enjoy the bank holiday weekend as well. So I've got to turn 2 things off at once now. So thank you very much. I'll stop recording here first. Don't know how to end me.